Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of December 15th, 2013. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week, right in the middle of the week, we have a full moon in the sign of Gemini. But what we also have happening on the same day is Uranus standing still in the sky and preparing to go direct after months of being retro. So when I say a planet is retro, what I mean is retrograde. And what I mean by that is it appears to be going backwards in the sky. And just like the visual suggests, that is symbolic of a time when that planet's energies turn inward, and it becomes much more a journey of understanding what it is that you need to change within yourself so that you can better utilize that planet's energy to create change in your outward circumstances. How you can harness that energy first as an internal process and then have it be reflected in what you manifest and what you experience in your world. And so Uranus is a symbol of revolution and of revelation. It is dramatic changes that get in the way of, or rather, help you to release of anything that gets in the way of you being honestly yourself and really stepping into your truth. And as Jeff Green calls it, he says that Uranus is leaving behind who you've been conditioned to be in favor of who you've been created to be. Now, Uranus is also considered the higher octave of Mercury, and Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini. So you add all these pieces together, and it does suggest a time of a lot of change, and especially mental realizations, intellectual realizations that help to wash us clean. And it also suggests a time of facing some very important truths, because that's what full moons tend to represent. But this is the type of truth that really does set you free. Now, for some people, this is going to be a freedom that comes really easily, depending on how well you've utilized Uranian energy in the past. However, for some people, this may be, as Gloria Steinem calls it, a truth that sets you free, but first it pisses you off. And so I have to put that out there, and I'm sorry if that's a little explicit for some of my friends and fans out there. Forgive me for that. But I had to say it. I'm quoting her. So, but I do think it's a very apt metaphor, especially for a Uranus transit, a Uranus conversation in the sky. It does tend to represent a time when we really have to look at some truth, and that truth does free us. It does change us in very significant ways. And that is the promise this week. And that is some of the most potent energy that we're all going to be dealing with in some way in our own lives. What you also have happening this week is Venus slowing down to a standstill, which is stationary, and then at the very end of the week, going retro, entering a rare retrograde phase. Now, this is something I've been talking about for a while. I've been talking about in the monthly videos. I've been talking about in the 2014 videos as well, because it is such an important cycle. It is such an important transit, and it does tend to mark a turning point for just about all of us in some area of life or another, and depending on how it's speaking in your specific chart as well, can really be felt very dramatically in some cases. And Venus going retrograde is a time when the goddess of love is going inward, and we're being asked, do I love it? Do I genuinely love it, and am I worth it? Those are the deeper questions in at least one area of life we are all asking ourselves, and this is the beginning of an important process. And again, it has to do with love, whether that's self-love, whether that's love for another, or love of a particular area of life. You know, recently I've been talking to a lot of people about this idea of falling in love with life, falling in love with every area of life. And I recently shared through my newsletter and also on my Facebook page about this idea of how gratitude and love are essentially the same thing. And so how do you fall in love with life? Well, you start by cultivating gratitude. Gratitude is the way that you can start really falling in love with life. And if you fall in love with life, all of it, then you can't help but cultivate more love in just about any area of life you choose, especially in love, especially in relationships. And I do think that this is all part of, and all this that I just shared about gratitude and love and cultivating more love, it's all part of these lessons that Venus is now going to encourage us all to experience, most pronouncedly in at least one area of life, but really can have a transformative effect in just about our entire lives if we allow it to. How all this speaks to you in your sign is coming up right now. Aries, for you, this week does suggest a really strong time of you having a conversation that changes everything, that just changes your path, changes the way you see things, changes the way you understand things. If there's any sign that's going to get it on an intellectual level, that's going to have idea or conversation translated into personal change, it is you, especially your online communications. And so I'm going to encourage you to reach out, make those contacts, even where it seems like, I don't know, should I send this person a like or a smile or whatever it is that you do in online dating if you're looking for love or open to love, then that is going to be something that you want to cultivate. And so all of this is going to add up to you having the experience that you need to have a moment of truth that helps you to see things differently, which in turn can really lead you to make some dramatically different decisions than you have before, which in turn could really change the trajectory of your coming year, if not your coming period of this next phase of your life, really. It is that important a time. Taurus, I do think that a lot of the understandings you have this week are going to be largely financial. A lot of the evolutions and revolutions that you have taking place for you are going to be financial, where you see what you have been doing in the way that you feel about money and how you can change that, how you can heal that as well. And what I really like about this week is that you see your way to some progress, definitely, but it does start by taking an honest assessment as to the state of your current circumstances, and that in turn can lead you to really formulate a plan going forward that holds the promise of great prosperity for you. And when I say great prosperity, I mean real abundance. That is the possibility, and you could have a great money-making idea right now. Gemini, this is a week of a full moon in your sign. You pretty much only get one of these every year, and this is yours. Think back to what was taking place in your life 6 months ago, because this would be a time of culmination of a lot of things that you put into place, that you started, the seeds that you planted 6 months ago. Now they're really going to reap. And this is going to be a moment of truth for you in looking at what your intentions were really honestly, what you said they were, what they actually turned out to be. And what is it that really matters to you? What is it really, when you get down to it, what are your actions demonstrating? And if there's any time that's facing, if there's any sign that would be facing a time of a moment of truth that could really change everything, it is you. Change you from the inside out, change you on a level of heart and spirit. So do embrace it, because you're stepping into a more authentic and honest version of yourself. It's no less than that important a time for you. Cancer, while there is this sort of restless energy happening underneath the surface for you, I do think at the same time there's a part of you that's looking at love, there's a part of you that's looking at your career, and when you think about it, these are the two really main areas of life that people consult an astrologer about, that friends and fans out there ask me about. It's about love and about career. And when I look at the sky for you and I consider how both of these areas and the most significant points in the chart are being highlighted for you, it does suggest a time when you are getting really clear about your direction and which way you want to go, what's serving its purpose, what is not serving its purpose, and really what it is that you desire to do more of and experience more of, especially where it comes to love and your career. And this is also a time, as I said, there's a restless energy with you right now. And so what you want to do is have your space, have your chosen isolation. Take that time to really work things out for yourself within your own spirit, within your own heart, and really within the dream space as well, because that's when I think a lot of truths are going to be coming up very powerfully for you that are really going to help you to clarify your next big move, to move yourself towards greater love and greater career success as well. Leo, what I like about this week for you, what I find most important and most profound, really is the ways in which friendships are going to try and facilitate a moment of realization for you. And this realization really comes down to truth and belief and values. And what I think is a very likely scenario for some Leos out there is being presented with a new way of looking at the world, a new world view that really will shake up a lot of the way that you've understood your life so far. And it's likely to come through a friend or through somebody you're introduced to through a friend, so part of a wider network, if you will. What I find really intriguing about this energy for you is that it does suggest you being introduced to, whether it's a philosophy, whether it's even a religious belief, or having a moment when really a conversion of sorts is possible. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be, dramatic and to a system of anything that you don't want it to be. But what it does suggest is you get a perspective that might have been there sort of in the ether, but you hadn't really embraced before. And you get a perspective that really can change a lot of things in your life right now and really help you understand what you've been hoping for, what you've been wishing for, and bring you into alignment with that in a lot more clearer terms. It's as if you acknowledge a barrier that had been there. And the barrier has to do with, ultimately, regardless of how it's actually manifested in your life, ultimately it comes down to your spiritual search and what it is that now needs to change within you so that your spirituality matches the things that you hope for and wish for in your life, and how that really helps each other, how those two really come together. It's going to be a really powerful time for you as well. And I do think that this conversion of sorts really helps you step into yourself, a self that you really like very much. Virgo, this week for you does suggest a lot of activity taking place on the front of career, but it seems to be speaking to your finances as well. There is an element here when I look at the sky for you of thinking about what you sort of have to agree to, if you will. But also, when I look at it's like, here's your career and a direction in which you want to go, and you're seeing opportunity come your way, certainly. And at the same time, what I'm seeing is you're looking at your financial picture and looking at, okay, how can I actually translate this and make sure that this means greater wealth for me in the bigger picture? And so the chance of your career aims lining up with some sort of financial benefit or settlement or insurance payout, benefit, commission check, that type of thing. So some sort of large payment being correlated with career achievement, career success, being associated with what it is that you really desire to achieve in this next phase of your life. All of that seems to coalesce really nicely now. And so whether it's your ability to access grants or funding so that you can actually achieve the things you really desire to achieve, or whether it's some achievement that comes with a bonus, both of them seem to really coalesce together very nicely to lead you towards greater prosperity, but also towards the attainment of your goals. Libra, this week does suggest a time when you are really looking at how your relationships and your beliefs about yourself, your beliefs about the world have contributed to where you are in love, and if you like where you are in love or not. And so this is part of a larger trend that's been going on throughout this decade, really, of your life, when relationships are going to be the area of life that go through the most fundamental changes, and the area of life that you are really going to come to understand what you need so that you can experience greater mutual respect and a greater sense of independence, a greater sense of self. It's really love that's going to facilitate this very important process for you. And what I find really intriguing about what is taking place for you now is that you are really coming to see yourself more clearly thanks to your attractions and thanks to love. And at the same time, you're being changed by them on a level of belief, on a level of faith, and on a level of really what you envision as possible for your life. So you put these together. If you're attached, chances are that your partner is going to surprise you with some sort of move that makes you feel like, wow, this is so awesome. I didn't know that we were ready for this, but here we are, and we really are ready for this next step. And if you're single, then chances are you're going to have a moment when you're going to say, wow, I attracted that. I can't believe there was a time when I thought that was out of my league, and now here it is, and I'm seeing the reality of it, and the reality is different than the fantasy. All of this is part of your learning, of course, and all of this is part of your freedom as well, and all of this is part of you really creating a vision for your life and for your future that's much more loving and much more based on a sense of healthy self, based on a sense of healthy possibilities and knowing that you deserve the absolute best. Scorpio, this week does suggest a time when you are really going to be asked to, in your own way, consider worth and ideas of worth and what you think you're worth. And so a lot of these lessons that I spoke about in the intro are coming to you, but from a variety of angles. And so you're looking at not only in terms of love and relationships, but you're looking at in terms of being honest with yourself as to what needs to really change. You're looking at in terms of finances, how you've sort of manifested the financial situation that you're in right now. And it is conversations that are going to be a part of this process of helping you to look at any blocks to love that may be there, any understandings of what needs to heal within you so that you can experience a greater love than you've known before, and to understand that you deserve to receive. That's really going to be part of the big lesson now. But I do think, when I think about your sign, I think about the life, death, rebirth cycle, which is what your sign represents. And that is an energy that's very strong right now this week, especially for you. Considering that, I think in some ways this week is going to feel very right. And at the same time, it's going to ask you to make some significant new starts, some significant life and deaths and rebirths, if you will, a rebirth, a reinvention in your own life. And it starts by a really profound moment of honesty. I'm literally seeing you, whether you are sort of putting your hands to the sky in gratitude or your hand on your heart, in some way or another, you are having a moment of truth that really feels like it's shifting things for you and helps you to create an ending that's very much needed. And this ending holds the promise of a beginning as well. Beginnings need endings as a necessary condition to occur. And I think the truth of this is really going to come home to you now. And this is an ending and a beginning that really helps you be reinvented and reborn into a person that you feel is much more representative of who you really are. And in that sense feels very, very right. Sagittarius, this week it is a full moon taking place in your opposite sign, which does suggest being really honest with yourself about who the other person in your life is, how you've reached the situation, and being honest with yourself about what direction you want to go in. Also, considering the fact that Uranus, as I spoke in the intro, is going to be standing still and then going direct, it does suggest that your realizations are going to come on very strong and be very undeniable to you. And I do think that the likelihood of you actually sort of spilling the beans in whatever way that applies to your life, that is also very strong right now as well. And so if there's anything you've been holding back or delaying from in an established partnership, now you're going to have that conversation. You're going to let it all out. If you are open to love, then chances are that there's going to be some experience, some attraction that is part of that. And I think you're going to find yourself sharing certain things and afterwards saying to yourself, wow, why did I say that? And that is going to be the real Freudian moment, because that, whatever it is that comes forward in conversation with somebody that you're attracted to, that's going to show you something about what you really believe, about what you want in love. And so instead of saying to yourself, oh, why did you do that? Don't say that. Say, why did I do that? You see, it's a different energy there, right? There's an energy of inquisitiveness to the second way to ask yourself. There's an energy there of honest self-reflection, knowing that that is what you need if you're going to experience greater love and greater closeness as well, and greater trust as well. And so love is going to be very much the focus, and you are going to really be looking in some very important ways as to the shifts that you need to make so that you can experience love that you most desire, a closer love than you've known before. And in order for that to happen, there are some things that need to be said. And so embrace whatever it is that you do end up saying, because that is really going to hold the key to your freedom and to your happiness and love and in many other areas of life as well. Capricorn. Now, Capricorn, I don't want to really go on again and again about the same thing week after week, month after month. It is Venus that's going retrograde in your sign, and so I'm just going to leave it to the 2014 love videos. Watch it again, because really that is really a huge, huge theme. It's already started for you, but now really kicks into high gear, and that energy that I talk about there in that video in the 2014 love annual love horoscope, that is going to be an energy that is going to be with you most pronounced now. You're building towards the end of the week, and then you're going to carry into the new year with you. Now, in other news, okay, when I look at the sky for you and what is taking place for you now, I do think that there's an element here of you looking at how maybe your past has contributed to your state of health right now and your habits as well. And so there's an opportunity for you to really get honest with yourself about why it is that you've been doing something and where now you're ready to honestly experience changes and where you can change tactic to experience some of those changes. Aquarius, this week is a time when I think you are going to be looking at where you are in terms of your sense of fulfillment. That's one element. But also, I think about this idea of innocence. I think about this idea of being a big kid. And I talked about this in the monthly video as well, where this is very much an energy of creation that's in the air right now, and creation that can be very spontaneous. And so what you could do is allow yourself to play, allow yourself to enjoy, and within that find really whether it's the next step of a creative project or it's the insight that you need to really finish off something, finish off a creative project, that is very likely now. And it looks like the ideas that come are just sheer brilliance. If this energy chooses to manifest in other ways, this could be a time when children are a focus, and this could be a time when you find yourself very fertile. And so you can decide how this energy wants to manifest. Of course, we live in a modern time, and so that decision is yours. But do keep that in mind. There's a lot of fertile energy, and that can manifest physically in terms of a pregnancy, if that's something you want, or it can manifest in other ways as well. In ways that have to do with creative projects. Now, as I spoke of in the intro, Uranus, after really months of being retrograde, is now going to go direct. Uranus being your modern ruling planet. And so it isn't just about this idea of fulfillment or creativity or fun or being a big kid. That's what the full moon is speaking to. And the full moon is working with Uranus. But I do think that really, when your ruling planet goes direct, it's as if something within you moves forward. Something within you that's been sort of going backwards, reflecting. And maybe for a few of you out there, a part of you maybe that has felt stuck or felt a little resistant from really pushing forward or really taking the next step or taking the next chapter of your life, that's felt like you're holding on to something from the past that maybe is interfering with your full presence in this day and with your full truth and standing in your truth in this moment. All of that is really going to be released now as something within your spirit and something within your soul is ready to take a leap forward, and in some cases dramatically so. I do think that freedom is one of those really primary learning opportunities, things that you are really stepping into, this idea of you being yourself and truly free in that truth of being you. That's something that you're doing more and more over the course of your lifetime. It's one of the most sacred lessons of being an Aquarius. And so when I look at the fact that you've got your ruling planet gearing up and then going direct, it does suggest during that stationary moment that much of this week is going to be spent in really looking at your own blocks, really looking at where, you know what, that happened and it's done, and now I could really let that go, and clearing yourself, really mind, body, and spirit, clearing yourself of experiences in the past, any energetic ties that don't need to be there anymore. And that frees you more than anything. And that frees you really to step into a future where you do experience more creativity, more fulfillment, more joy, and also, yes, more loving moments, more flirtatious moments, and more excitement as well. There's just overall joy promised to you, but it isn't just frivolous. It's something that goes much deeper into a sense of you understanding what the next great chapter of your life is going to be, and you understanding who's going to be there with you in that chapter and who's not, and really being happy about whatever state you find yourself in and whoever it is that is with you, and happy about who no longer is. And finally, Pisces, my very dear Pisces, who stay patient through this video, or jump ahead, whatever works well for you. But for Pisces out there, I do think that this is a time when your energy is going to be focused very much towards home. It's going to be about what it is that you desire to experience in the privacy of your own time. But I also think that there's a very strong financial element to what's taking place. So you could be spending money on home projects, maybe on moving, on changes that are happening in the home front. But more than anything, I think for most Pisceans, they're going to be thinking about what they need to feel more at home and making changes along those lines, and changes that require some sort of financial backing, if you will, or require you to spend some money. Having said that, I do want to say, because this isn't only about feeling at home within your space, but also feeling more at home within your own skin, feeling safe within your own body. I do think that for some of you out there, for a few Pisceans out there, there may be an element of wanting to get some sort of plastic surgery or a tattoo or whatever the case may be. And I would say if altering yourself physically, that's something you want to do, just hold off on anything very permanent, okay? Just a little bit longer, because when Venus is retrograde, you really don't want to be getting something that could be permanent. And so if you want to change your hair, like I say, my philosophy is, look, it's just hair. As longtime friends and fans know, I've been through just about every hair color here on YouTube. But having said that, just whatever it is that you choose to do, you would probably be happier if it isn't something that's too permanent and it's just something that will, grow out, or you can change your clothes or whatever the case may be. Have fun, of course. Feel good about yourself, and whatever you need to feel good about yourself, it looks like the money you need is going to be there to help that process along. However, just consider that you might change your mind, and that's really okay. That's part of being an evolving being, is that you're allowed to change your mind. I will stop there. Thank you so much again to all of you for being here. Check out my website, nadiyashah.com, for so much more. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.